Hey everyone, it is Coach Callie B with Coordinated Coaching. And like I said earlier today, if you watched my live video on coconut chicken, it's on my Instagram, Coach Callie B. Well, I let you guys know a little secret, no longer a secret. If you look on the screen, this is a kid that I've known, I can't say kid anymore, he's a young man. I've known him since he was probably about 8 years old, and I've pretty much been watching him grow. This is Cristo Taberas. And he is a former athlete of my husband. He was the head coach at Coconino High School. And I brought him on because my channel for coordinated coaching is about, adding value to coaches' lives, but also to my athletes. And as a coach and an athlete advisor, it's important to me to make sure that any athlete that I worked with knows their why, knows when they're ready to go towards that college goal. But today's topic is going to be when they know that it's over. But we're going to start from the beginning with Cristo. Cristo, go ahead and tell me your upbringing, how that was for you, and kind of what shaped you into your high school years.
Well, I was raised by a single mother. She raised my sister and I have an older sister that's currently in law school. She's 3 years older than I am, 3.5, I guess. And I guess for me, my mom always kind of wanted to keep me out of trouble, I guess, especially being a single mom. She always wanted me to be involved. And she would do anything possible in her nature to make that happen. And I started playing football first when I was in kindergarten, really young, and then baseball very soon after. And ever since 6, 7 years old, I've been playing both sports consistently up until my senior year of high school, when I ultimately decided to sign for football and pursue collegiate football.
All right, so where was the fork in the road for you when it came to baseball, to college? What was your defining moment as to, I'm going to proceed with football?
I think for me, it really came down to my senior year. So I think whenever people are I need to know about my freshman, sophomore, or people are always putting stress on your junior year because you can talk to recruits, people look at that as being the golden year. But for me, it really wasn't until my senior year that I was wow, I kind of felt that when my last game ended for football, that I kind of had more to show and more to prove. And I kind of never really felt that with baseball. And maybe with baseball, it was more because, I played travel ball year round. I was constantly always around it. I had more people around me that were involved in the baseball program than football, I guess. So for me, it was kind of I feel like I have so much more to give, and I've never really gotten the opportunity to show it. So I'm going to try for college football. And that was kind of ultimately my drive of I kind of have more to give, and I definitely want to try and see if I can show that at the next level.
Nice. This is the kid who would do 2-a-days during football during summertime, and then sometimes he would make it over to baseball practice in the summertime if he wasn't puking from baseball, because he never puked from football. Coach B got his goat.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So you went ahead and you signed. I want you to tell me what school you signed with, what town it's in, because that's another thing that, I want these kids in Northern Arizona, the ones that do watch me, the ones that I do mentor, there's so much more than Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
For the kids that want to play baseball, there's only 14 schools to choose from in this state. So go ahead and tell them what school you signed and why you decided that school.
So I had decided to go to Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri. Before the second semester of my senior year in high school, I had never even heard of Westminster or Fulton, Missouri, or anything part of the Midwest. But I think Coach Callie makes a great point that I literally, when we were driving from Flagstaff all the way up to Missouri, there's literally a college probably within every 10 miles. I'm not even exaggerating. I tell people that all the time. I was I signed to this school because it gave me an opportunity to pursue football, and they have a really good academic base. So like I said, there's no school. I mean, I had a couple interests here and there, more West Coast schools, closer to home. But I think for me, it was ultimately, they came and talked to me twice. First time, 2016 of my senior year, it was in February or January. They came and flew out and kind of gave me
Nice.
Scholarship plan and things like that. And then again, of that same year, 2016, they flew out in May and kind of finalized what they could offer me academically and all those other things. And then finally, not too long after that, I think honestly a week after they came, towards the middle of May of my senior year of high school is when I ultimately signed and have been here ever since.
Nice. So you waited kind of longer than most.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
And
And that's something I push. Like I feel like everybody needs to make sure they get the ins and the outs and they trust it. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. And I think a big thing is that, I think social media has kind of, made it kind of like a publicity stunt. People will post on National Signing Day or like when they have their first big offer. But in my opinion, and, being around a lot of collegiate players, whether it be for football or for baseball or just whatever sport, that your coach, if he genuinely does want you, he's not going to force you to sign on signing day. He's not going to force you to sign anywhere else, because I know from my experience, there's a lot of coaches that will look at players who didn't sign on signing day and be like, why didn't you sign? Or players will sign on signing day and figure out that there's 8 other quarterbacks on that roster, or that they're not the only one. So I always tell people that wait it out, like you said. Like I waited till practically the last month of my senior year to decide where I was going.
No, that's a really good point. I like how you said your coach is not going to force you to sign. Like especially
Definitely.
the coach that really wants you.
100%.
You know. So Cristo went out there and he proceeded to. You were redshirted, correct? Is that?
Yeah. Why ended up
Explain
playing?
that.
Yeah. So I guess for different colleges have like a bunch of red shirt years, like a gray shirt, like a medical hardship year.
Okay.
I personally, so like if I was still playing, like I would be a senior on the field and on the classroom. But like we had a couple players on our team that they got hurt during spring or during a fall camp. So like when you get hurt or you may not play, you can get like a medical hardship, which basically means that you haven't played more than like 3 games in like a full season. But there's also, like you said, like a red shirt where you're just there practicing the whole entire time. I was technically on the active roster. But like I said, I didn't really see much playing time. I think the most playing time I started seeing was finally like my junior year.
Okay. So it's crazy. Like, I know this is bad of me, but I still see Cristo as this young kid. I still see him. He's grown so much. Like, just knowing what you went through up to this final decision to decide where you're at, how you're going to finish strong. And so explain kind of the environment, your freshman, sophomore, and where you are at today, because are you a senior this year?
I'm a junior this year.
Thank God. I was like, where did a year go? So explain like your freshman, sophomore, junior year, and then go ahead and hit on kind of that defining factor, like when you came to the house and you spoke to V and I, just about your final decision, and I want you to talk from the bottom of your belly, like, because we got young athletes that I'm going to push us out and let them see. They need to understand that it's not always about the sport, bottom line.
Oh, definitely.
So
definitely.
Go ahead.
And I think I'd be the first to say, and I even said this when I went over to Coach B and Callie's house, that I went into Westminster my freshman year with the only goal of, I'm playing collegiate football. This is awesome. And, it was kind of like that wake-up call I needed. I wouldn't say I had a lot of success with football during my high school years, but I feel like my senior year I had a lot of success. So I kind of had that mentality that like, well, if I can do it there, then I can do it basically anywhere. So like most freshmen, I came in here thinking that like I'd have the opportunity to maybe play right away, and that I was, a lot better than a lot of these guys. And I quickly realized that, once you get to college, you're playing with a lot of grown men or women in whatever sport you're playing in, and that, it's not really a matter of the skill that you have, but sometimes that knowledge and that experience is so much more important and so much more valuable than any type of skill you had. So I quickly learned my freshman year that, it wasn't going to be the same as high school. We actually had like 5 quarterbacks on the roster at that point. And I remember like for the most of my year, I was the 3rd string guy. Like it was 2 guys in front of me. So I quickly, like I said, I kind of got humbled down. And personally, my freshman year was the most, I guess, like the most difficult, but also the most, rewarding, just because I could like that was the year that I could really tell like where I started and kind of where I ended. So knowing what I had to look forward to my sophomore year, like I knew what to look forward to in the summer, lifting wise, and kind of just that mentality of like what I need to prepare myself for. So I started off a lot better going to my sophomore year, and I just felt like I had way more knowledge, even just having that 1 year under my belt, you know, that 1 year to really grow and that 1 year to kind of just be on the sidelines for the first time. Because I think that was the first time in my, I guess, you know, sporting career that I'd ever really just sat the bench and learned. So sophomore year kind of was that same thing, but I'd gotten a lot more respect from my teammates and from my coaches. And then finally going into my junior year, I was voted as one of our team captains. And, you know, I kind of was getting more involved, not just with the sport side, but with the schooling side too. And, you know, every single year after we finished with sports, like with our season, we always had like final year exit interviews. And I felt like the end junior year, I didn't have that feeling that I was going to start, but I definitely had that feeling that, okay, I may, you know, get the opportunity to play more because of my work ethic. And that's kind of the advice of what I tell everybody. I was like, it doesn't matter the type of skill. You made it to college. You made it to the certain college sport for a reason. It's just a matter of, okay, now what are you going to do with that opportunity that you have? And for me, it was, you know, my work ethic is always going to, and for everybody, their work ethic is something that's going to drive them, not just in high school, but really in college. When you see that people are like around your same avenue of skill level, like, okay, now it's going to set you apart. And my junior year, I really felt that, okay, like, I think I have that intangible of if our starter, you know, gets hurt or isn't playing well, that like they can really look to me to be that guy. And I guess I never really got my opportunity to demonstrate that. I mean, I had some practices here and there. You know, the relationship that I had with my coaches was more on like a coach-player type basis, not like a you're my friend, I'm your friend type basis. So I'm not going to say we didn't get along ultimately my junior year, and ultimately that was the reason why I didn't play. But, you know, we obviously had some differences where I thought that I should have gotten an opportunity to showcase what I could do, but I ultimately didn't get that. So for me, I think, you know, whenever we're in a situation where something like that happens, we automatically just want to act or react, as they say.
On emotion, yeah.
On emotion. And I think for me, I really took my time when I was supposed to hopefully get an opportunity to start and didn't. I really looked at myself and thought, okay, I'm not just Cristo the football player, Cristo the athlete, I'm Cristo the student, I'm Cristo the one that's involved in a lot of other things. And so for me, ultimately when I said, you know, I'm going to hang it up, was I looked at myself as a whole and not just as an athlete. And I think for a lot of people that I've talked to, when they finally hang it up for whatever reasons, there's still like this common theme and all those reasons that they figure out like, hey, like, whatever sport I'm playing isn't going to be me forever, and I'm so much more than that. And I think for me, even though I didn't get the opportunity to showcase my skill like I would have liked to, I know that I left my mark with a lot of guys that I met, you know, networking purposes, but I ultimately felt that, you know, I'm not just the athlete and I'm going to do something else. So for me, that was my big decision on why I ended up not playing football next year, my senior year.
See, and that's, to me, that's like the stuff that legacy is made out of, because you are a big influencer on our kids. You know, I've told you the story where people mistaken you for my kid because you and Evan look so much alike. They thought I had a kid in college, and I was like totally flattered, you know, like, no, I will not take that one. I was like, Vicky did a great job with it, you know. But it's like, you know, my situation, I was so angry, like softball got ripped out of my hands by getting the diagnosis of the bleeding disorder after throwing the clot, and I was angry. I almost had to go through all the 5 emotions of loss. And I look at you and your decision, and maybe you on the inside you were really hurting, but you were very, very valiant in your language, voice, and body, and you just didn't let it show. You know what I mean? Like,
no, yeah, 100%.
I think you had your breakdown, but the best part is you're not just ticked off at the coach. You're deciding to rise to the occasion to do great things. And that's something that I always preach. And you are Cristo overall. You're Cristo, and you do great things. Like, I've watched you grow. I've watched you make bad decisions in high school, and you owned up to them. And look at you. You're still moving forward. You didn't get sad because coach isn't playing you and move back home with mommy and go to school here.
100%.
Like, you know, and I'm sure somebody's going to watch this and be like, oh, that's what I did. You know, that's great. But I also want you guys, especially the kids that are close to us, I want you guys to get out and experience life.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and with me in my college advisement position now, there's so many girls that go down to the valley and play ball, but they last a year and they come back. And it's like they almost feel like there's a piece of them missing, and I don't see that about you. I didn't pick up on the vibe when you came over during the holidays, like there was a piece missing. It's like you just knew that it was now, and like now was the time, you know?
Right. And I think that's important for a lot of athletes. Like you said, a lot of athletes, they react, they react on emotion, like we've talked about so many times. And like their first instinct is saying, and trust me, I am 100% going to be the first one to tell you that. Yeah. Even at my junior year was one of my instincts saying, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go back home because it's simple. Yeah, 100%. But I think I really, sat back and thought, yeah, I'm pissed off. Like I said, I probably even still haven't had my breaking moment. It'll happen, as fall comes closer, football season comes closer, and I miss it a lot. But I think that's, people need to realize that it's okay to have that breaking moment, but it's what happens after that moment. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of just mess up and fail. Like I said, they just react and they just go back home. Like you said, we're not talking crap on people who do that.
No.
But there should be a lot more to factor in than just the sporting part. You know what I mean? We're going to college. We're getting an academic education. We're meeting new people. We're getting involved. That we should look at this as our sport. And that's kind of what I did. I looked at it as a platform. All right, football brought me here. Now what am I going to do now that I don't have football now? So now football brought me here, but it's Cristo who's staying here, and it's Cristo who's moving forward from what football brought me. So I think sports are a great platform to take you places that you've never experienced.
Right.
But they shouldn't just be what keeps you moving forward.
Right. No. And that definitely, I want that message to go to the athletes that are thinking about playing college sports, to know that this very well may come up in your career, like this fork in the road. So we're not trying to hinder you away from playing college sports. None of you that are going to watch this, we're pushing you to make the right decision on the school that you choose. Sometimes I bet you think that I choose the wrong school. I bet it's in the back of your mind. But at this point, there's nothing you can do about it because those connections have been made. Like, I can't tell you enough, like the little 2 years that I had with my girls in JUCO ball, before I was able to play Division II ball, like I still have connections with those girls, but Coach B's connections, we have a California family that we try to see like every 2 years. They're family, and that's stuff that you're going to walk out from your graduation with, and you're going to meet up with these guys for years to come, and your future wife and your future kids, they're going to know these people,
100%.
So that's the big picture that people have to think about when you just get mad because your coach turns into somebody else versus the person that they were when they were recruiting you.
Yeah.
So that's what you decided now. You are on the tail end of your junior year. Seems like things are going well for you. Go ahead, and I want you to share the nonprofit organization that you are doing. Like, give me the name of it and just give me the bones to it.
So I guess my advice for anybody who kind of feels a void when they stop playing their sport is, for me, it's when I'm not busy, I, start overthinking and start doing a lot of things. So I always wanted to stay busy. And my really good fraternity brother named Kyle Kroll started this nonprofit called Give and Play. And what essentially Give and Play started out as was this platform where, low-income families could come and talk with us about, any help they needed with registration fees, new cleats, even slightly used cleats, batting gloves, baseball bats, you name it. Our goal was just to try and find any type of those families and give those kids a lot of the opportunity to play. Because like I had mentioned earlier in this video that, for me, my mom wanted my sister and I to stay busy, especially a lot of low-income families, not trying to be stereotypical, but, they come from, families that have troubles. Maybe they're single families, or maybe their parents abandoned them, so they're staying with other family members, or maybe just times are tough. And,
parents get sick.
Exactly. Parents get sick. Life happens, as I like to tell people. So we tried our best to locate those families or try and have them come with me or come to us and get that kind of help. So my friend Kyle Kroll, my friend Bo Thompson, and a bunch of others, you know, kind of handle things here in Missouri. And it was actually last summer when I told Kyle that I really wanted to branch out and, you know, start what he did there and bring it to Flagstaff, Arizona. So I guess right now what we're really working on is just more fundraising and just trying to be able to locate the families that need help, just because we don't want to give money to people who kind of need it. We want to give the money to the people who really deserve it. And a lot of the times that's hard. So that's kind of our goal in this whole thing. Give those kids the opportunity that a lot of us got and give them the opportunities that have helped us shape the people that we are today.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I feel like you kind of have to put them, I don't want to be stereotypical either, but you have to set up those boundaries to almost prove, because all it's taken is one person to tell a lie, you know, and then they work the system and they get all the freebies and all that jazz. So, have you guys gone any further as far as the certain structures, the questions that you ask of these families?
Yeah, so my friend Kyle Kroll, the starter, the CEO of our nonprofit, he actually has made it that, you know, certain counties or around our place in Missouri, and something that I would eventually like to do in Flag, is that we have an application process with the sign up. So right now we're really going to focus on, you know, our spring semester coming up with like baseball, softball, those types of sports. And we have them fill out this application process of kind of where they're at on, you know, with demographics, you know, how much money they make, you know, kind of nitpicky questions like that, so we can really try and figure out who needs the help. So I think right now our application process has kind of been the best, you know, but we're still relying on word of mouth. You know, if we've gotten a chance to help some family, and that's a lot of the help that we've gone, or a lot of the help that we've given has been because one family member got help, so they have other family members that we know really need help. So we've kind of helped them out like that. But we do have our application process, and we do have our website, you know, that people can go to. It's www.giveandplay.com. Okay. So yeah, like I said, right now we're kind of in we have helped a lot of families, but we're still trying to just keep growing and really expand and market what we're able to do to other families.
Nice. I think that you and I talked about this over break. I think that's definitely going to be something that's going to help Flagstaff families. You know, it's great that their parents can cook food to sell, but you kind of come to that breaking point where you should be in a position where you should still be able to enjoy your kids' playing time.
Definitely.
Like, you shouldn't have to work so much for them to get to that tournament or to play in that season, and by the time you get to watch them, you're just totally checked out, you know. And as a mom, a busy mom, you know how I am. That's definitely something that I try to put boundaries around everything that I do. But I can only imagine, you know, for the parents out there that, you know, one parent's working 2 jobs, the other parent's in home, full caregiver to other family members. You know, family members get sick. You know, I think that's been one of the cases I've seen here is family member, father's been sick for a couple of years, and it's kind of debilitating. It's slow. It plays with those little kids' minds, and at the same time, again, they're at that fork of the road and they have to choose either just to give up on playing the sport or, you know, go ahead and reach out for the support to play. And I want these kids to know that your dream should never, because of your life circumstances. See, that's the thing that kids don't get. They can't control those things. And I think that's where people take advantage of any kind of system that is giving, you know, because sometimes it's the parents' poor choices that put them in that situation.
Definitely.
So, but when you guys have that kind of weed out process of who's telling the truth, who is truly in a detriment space, you know, I think that allows that kid to continue to grow. And then, quite honestly, those kids are going to be the kids that do amazing things.
Definitely. And, and like you said, I think a lot of the times, and we have talked about it before, a lot of the times also parents get scared or feel ashamed or embarrassed to get that help, you know, and we kind of want to have our platform be set that, hey, like, no judgments here, that we just want to see your kid play, you know, like, and give them the opportunity that a lot of people, you know, get, you know, to be able to, you know, meet new friends or possibly, you know, down the road, get a scholarship to a school. And it really, I mean, and it starts with youth sports. I mean, that's really 100% where it starts. And if we can be some type of platform where people feel that they can come with us without being judged or scrutinized or anything like that, then that's exactly what we intend to be.
Yeah, I love that. I think that just gives them an opportunity. And when it comes to a kid who's going through that hardship, their opportunity should not be any different than a kid who's not going through that hardship.
Definitely.
I mean, some people will disagree, but I don't. I think they need the same. So, all right, Cristo. Well, I think we answered all the questions I threw at you. I'm totally stoked to have you on the channel. I think it's going to be refreshing. I think it's going to show people that I am serious. Everybody's asking me, though, I am getting a lot of feedback on what's your YouTube channel. And until I get 100 followers, I don't have a URL. So I'm going to be plugging this into all my social media and be like, look who's on. All the way from Missouri. No, so that's awesome. Well, if there's anything else you want to add, any words of wisdom, any favorite quote, like do you have a favorite quote or two?
I think just advice, you know, for everybody, or I guess, you know, even a quote is, you know, don't be afraid to be great. You know, it's something simple, something that a lot of people, you know, may hear a lot of the time. And I'm not saying that you can't be great from your hometown or anything like that, but, you know, don't make a decision based on, you know, factors that don't involve your own well-being. I guess is, you know, my own advice. And, you know, like I said, if I would have known what I know now, would I have gone all the way to Westminster? I have no idea. But for me, what it did teach me is that I came all the way here alone, you know, obviously with the help of my mom and sister, but, you know, I'm here on my own, living on my own. And I'm doing fine. I'm struggling, but that's a part of life. So, you know, my advice for everyone is that you're going to struggle, and that's ultimately going to be the best teacher. So don't be afraid to just branch out and, you know, make decisions based on your own well-being and not the well-being of others.
Yeah, like don't base your decision on comfort zones. Like if you're going to be comfy,
Definitely.
don't make the decision to be comfy. Like people need to get like comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Definitely,
you know?
100%.
That's where you grow. So I'm excited to see what the next chapter of your life brings. I don't want you to finish school any faster, but at the same time, I want to see what happens at Flagstaff, you know, especially with your nonprofit and how that branch is going to affect Northern Arizona, because
Definitely.
we kind of are in our own bubble up here. So
definitely.
But all right, well, I almost said, all right, kid, you're not anymore. So, well, I appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Light. Of course. Thanks for shedding light and keeping yourself, you know, in that position to be bright. I really appreciate that.
I really appreciate that.
My kids appreciate it. I know Coach B appreciates it. So, all right. Well, I'm going to press stop recording, and then I'll just keep you on.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.